Rocks and bottles and other things, resulting in injured officers and over a dozen arrests. Now, this comes after a 23-year-old man was shot and killed by a police officer, and that, of course, he was carrying a gun and has a long rap sheet. Now, the city's police chief said the suspect was shot after turning towards the officer with a gun in his hand while attempting to flee from a traffic stop. Here with reaction is Milwaukee County Sheriff, our friend David Clarke. Sheriff, how are you? I'm sorry about when I witnessed this in any city. I'm sorry to see that anywhere.
Thanks. This is my hometown, so it hurts a little more, but welcome to Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's great to be back. All right, let me play some of the tape. I mean, we've gone through this in great detail, some of the things that are said. Let's roll tape.
Come down, service. He white. Beat it. Hey, look. White boy. They beat up every white person. They beat up every white person. Wake up to every white person! They beat it up! They beat it up! They chasing!
When the people start setting on fire, that's because they feel like they can't do anything else. That's what that means. It comes from helplessness, and they put us in office to help. We haven't been doing enough. Everybody is playing politics, and nobody is playing life. Our people are living and dying on the streets.
Sheriff, let me turn to you. 4 of your officers got hurt last night.
Rocks were flying not too long after the crowd started to move. I authorized tonight a higher use of force. We're going to do this reasonably and by the Constitution. But I've authorized the use of some non-lethal stuff to disperse the crowd if that happens again.
Let's talk a little bit about what you just heard there about getting the white person and picking out he's white. Let's get him. Let's beat his ass and all this nonsense.
Look, Saturday night the social order collapsed in Milwaukee. That leads to tribal behavior. That leads to the law of the jungle replacing the rule of law. And that kind of behavior, the quote we just heard, is part of that. It's shameful, I think, at the time. It's culturally dysfunctional black underclass behavior. We've had the growth of the underclass here in Milwaukee. Milwaukee could be a case study. This didn't happen overnight. Several decades, 3, 4, 5 decades of progressive liberal Democrat political rule here that has created the expansion of the welfare class, the expansion of state of dependency. We lead in these economic indicators. We lead in poverty rates, 6th poorest city in America. School failure, and Milwaukee Public Schools, K-12, one of the worst performing in terms of math, reading scores, graduation rates, attendance rates. Black male unemployment in the city of Milwaukee, 32%. 70% of kids born out of wedlock. You have questionable lifestyle choices. Those are self-inflicted pathologies. Those are encouraged by the welfare state. This thing was created. Sean and I grew up in the city. It was never like this. This was always a working class, blue-collar middle class. The middle class has fled, and now what you have is the government.
Let's talk about the correlation here, because I think this is really important. And, you know, I give out economic statistics every day because under this president, not only did we double the debt, but we have 12 more million Americans on food stamps since Obama's been president, 8 million more in poverty, the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, the worst recovery since the 40s. We have the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years. You have 1 in 5 American families, not a single member of that family is working. 1 in 6 American males, 18 to 34, prime working age, are either incarcerated or they are out of work living in mommy and daddy's basement. And we pay more money per capita per student and 35th in terms of education in the industrialized world.
Well, you know as well as I do that these progressive Democrat urban policies create an underclass. All right, they create by design. This is by design for ultimately political power. Just always.
In other words, it's creating dependency. and failure, so they need to elect. They get the power by creating dependency, so people keep them in power.
It helps them maintain power. This is cruel. Look, the black community has been exploited ever since Lyndon Johnson's war on poverty. Okay, they marginalized the black man, removed him, told him he was expendable, said Uncle Sam's going to be the dad, Uncle Sam is going to raise the kids. Uncle Sam is a horrible father, and we're seeing the results of that. We know that young men in the black community growing up without a father to shape their behavior, more times than not always, more times than not, grows up to be an unmanageable misfit that the police have to deal with in aggressive fashion like we saw Saturday night. So, you know, the alderman, the quote that we were listening to, he talks about oppression, and you know what the only remnant of oppression for black people is left in America? The Democrat Party.
Let me ask you this, because in this particular case, it just happened to be a black officer. And you have a guy with a rap sheet a mile long, a guy from heroin, cocaine, weapons, all of these charges in his past. He has a gun, 23 bullets apparently in the clip. I don't know how you get 23 in one.
Extended clip.
Extended clip, okay. So you get 23 bullets. I'm told, you know, the story they first came out, oh, they shot him in the back, just like Michael Brown. Turns out they didn't shoot him in the back. The officer shot him in the front, which means that gun was probably pointed at the officer.
Well, not only that, but the gun was stolen. And the investigation, you know, in time, will